let's take a regular person,
Right.
simple, really smart guy or girl, has a great life, but nothing, no talent to showcase. How do they build their personal brand? Number one, and B. And again, if you can, in descending order of priority, which channels, which platforms should they start with and build their brand?
Right. So number one, what we need to understand is that each channel technically is supposed to serve a different purpose. You might be one person, but it is fair to project 2 to 3 different personalities on each of these channels, right? So, honestly speaking, in terms of priority, you must start off on LinkedIn early. And when I say early, I'm not just talking about bombarding people that you know with invitations to connect, but actually, I mean, initially, to build your network, you will do that. What's important is right at an early age or rather early stage, you start following the folks who you think are influencers. I'm talking about professional influencers in their sphere. And there are dime a dozen. Okay, believe me, there are like, I think there are like 10 to 12 digital marketing influencers in my building alone. Okay, so
किधर रहते हो भाई?
नहीं, मैं ऐसे बोल रहा हूँ कि there are legit influencers and then there are influencers.
Yeah.
Right, so it's important that over a period of time, in 3 to 4 months time, you will be able to differentiate who's a genuine person putting out really solid content that's helpful and who's just positioned themselves as an influencer.
Got it.
And it's really important to then start not just following but learning from what they're doing, figuring out whether what they're saying and what you want to pursue is aligning some way or the other, and start interacting, right? And because that one influencer will put out one post, he'll get like 500 odd likes, there'll be 130 odd comments. When you start putting out your opinion there, that's the first step to putting out your opinion there. Or
Commenting on other
on,
influencers
yes,
posts. Okay.
you might ask an intelligent question, you might have a contrarian opinion, you might agree with that person, but don't just say, oh great thought, thank you for sharing. That is the most hollow way to start a conversation or to get someone to notice you. Because just think about this way, not just is that person going to see that you've commented, but there are so many other people who have commented, and there would be CXOs, there would be CMOs, there would be heads of marketing, heads of
Yeah.
product who
Yeah.
are there. And if you manage to grab at least like 10 people's attention there, uh, that is a great start. And not just saying that for the sake of it, because believe me, I have done this, and you don't have to try to stand out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying only you
Have
have
some
a
perspective.
legitimate perspective, right? Only then do that.
So you start with commenting on,
Commenting
asking good
questions.
questions
Yeah,
with some perspective. Doesn't have to be too. You don't have to be very opinionated. Just you need to have something of value besides oh great kind of a
correct,
response. That's
correct.
one on LinkedIn. Yeah. Is
Yeah,
that step two for these guys?
yes. On LinkedIn itself, then once you've developed a little bit of confidence in terms of getting people to engage with you, or you're comfortable putting out some of these questions or comments, start creating your own content. And when I say content, obviously initially you will not have like great industry knowledge,
Yeah.
experience, all of that. I'm saying start with the basic thing. Start with something like, here is my reading list for 2021, encouraging my network to add their recommendations to this.
Nice.
Believe me, this is something that is going to get
Yeah.
people across age groups and across industries excited. Then there are folks who start tagging other people and saying that, hey, this looks like a solid list, do you have recommendations that you want to add to this list? Start with some of those basic ideas, and trust me, you will be able to start building a community that is not just looking forward to what you put out next, but also wants to participate in some of the questions that you throw, or some of the content that you put out there. Think crazy. There is LinkedIn polls, right? During the IPL, if you have a question, and this is a basic marketing question, right?
Right.
So if you have a question about how much Hotstar, how many app users on Hotstar are logging in simultaneously to watch an IPL match, something along those lines. Put out a poll saying and tag the CMO or someone from Hotstar, anyone from Hotstar you might know, someone in your network might do that. So you never know what clicks. You'll have to think a little out of the box. Keep it simple. Don't try to sound too preachy. I know a lot of folks who, like blatantly pick up, quotes from here and there, and then they'll pick up one passage from what Simon Sinek said in 2015. All of that, that is not thought leadership. You build towards thought leadership, but you start with thought.
And
So,
what should the frequency be for beginners?
so I think you start by posting about 3 times a week, and then you scale it up. Ideally, you should do about 5 times a week if you really want to crack it big on LinkedIn. But I would say to start with 3 times a week. Maybe you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday onwards. So, and also figure, and the ideal time would be about like 10:30 in the morning to about 12 in the afternoon, because that's when most folks would generally be online.
Got it.
So yeah,
Okay.
so that's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's LinkedIn. So Instagram is also interesting, but what you need to do is realize very quickly what your niche is, right? Are you on Instagram to build a professional brand, which people are doing these days, but not to that degree of success that you would achieve on a platform like LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is an outrightly professional networking platform, right? Instagram, whether it's your passion, whether it is, whether it is travel, whether it is, whatever your hobbies might be, the point is that Instagram gives you the opportunity to create a completely different personality for yourself. There are people who land on my LinkedIn and say that, hey, you are a professional marketer, but then I landed up on your Instagram and you are, doing campaigns for the Man Company. Like, how are you doing that? So it's a it's a balance. You just have to figure out what your niche on Instagram would be, because that is what will dictate your future roadmap. Okay,
Yeah. So
so
that's a little difficult again because
yes,
to figure it out,
initially that's what I'm saying. Initially it is challenging. So you will put pictures of food, you will put pictures of your friends, family, or your travels. Great place to start off with, but you will figure it out yourself as you move along, what you want to build your niche in. So yeah, and Facebook, honestly speaking, I don't even know how many of these folks in this generation are using Facebook. I think our parents and grandparents are more active on Facebook these days.
100%. In fact, even they are, well, not grandparents, but parents for sure are also getting a little saturated with
Yeah,
Facebook and shifting towards, an Insta kind of a platform. So,
right.
is there a third one, or is LinkedIn and Insta good enough to get started today? Because this will, any which ways, like we discussed earlier, will evolve. There will be a new TikTok or a new
Yeah,
Snap.
yeah.
Something will come, and as long as you're rolling, you have some momentum on LinkedIn and Insta, you'll be able to divert it to a new platform. Is that the ideal way to look at it?
I would say yes, because honestly speaking, start small but stay consistent. Because the moment you start spreading yourself too thin, you will not be doing justice. You will not be able to build an audience, and you will just get lost in the crowd. Because you don't. One thing is being present everywhere. It's the easiest thing for us to do, right? We create an account, we create some random content, but there needs to be thought behind that. And as I said, thought leadership begins with thought. But what I would recommend is start off with LinkedIn and Instagram 100%. Because also look at it this way, right? The beauty of being on two platforms is, if down the line on Instagram you decide that I want to position myself as a motivational speaker, or I want to start my own podcast, there is a cross channel or cross platform synergy. You're going to promote your content that you have posted on LinkedIn on Instagram, or you're going to take people from your Instagram to your LinkedIn, or vice versa. So think about it this way from the long term perspective also. Obviously it's at a very nascent stage right now, but if you have vision, think about it along those lines as well.
Awesome. So I have one final question which we ask all our guests. Okay.
Okay.
It's more of a macro question, and I want to try and apply a macro question to an individual.
Okay.
And ask you from your experience. Do you think India is shifting uh, from a degree centric country to a skill-based, skill-centric country for the workforce, specifically not because of data, not because of the trends we've seen in the West, but take Netco, take
Right.
your particular example, and
Yep.
the people you hire, the people you work with, the people you are progressing with. Look at them, and if you can give some perspective on this.
Sure. I think there is definitely a gradual undercurrent of that happening because a lot of companies have realized that our traditional education system is not equipping the future workforce for the demands of the corporate world. And when I say corporate world, I'm not just talking about functions like marketing, finance, HR, or operations. I'm talking about basic skills, right? So honestly speaking, there is that movement that has started. You have the likes of what you guys are doing at Zell, what a Grey Atom is doing, creating data science focused courses with industry practitioners, people who are working in data science and machine learning, etc., coming and creating that course with them, preparing them, because they're the folks who are bridging that gap between what the industry demands are and what a student or a learner needs to know to equip himself or herself before they hit the market, right? um, I recently, in fact, just this afternoon, I saw a course by IIM Calcutta. They have a 6-month course on the use of artificial intelligence in marketing, right? So this is, this fragmented market will continue to evolve. I'll also give you a very simple example. So you took the example of my company, Netco, right? So when we were hiring for both tech roles and for marketing roles, we realized that people didn't understand the concept of marketing automation or customer engagement. So we actually tailor made an entire certificate program, and then we went and taught it to 3-4 B schools to see what the response was, and the people were like mind blown because they are studying for an MBA where they touch the surface of digital marketing and do one random project, and they're like, done, we'll do digital marketing.
Exactly.
So I think the drive also has to come from the corporate world, like an initiative that probably I undertook at Netcore, because there are things that our education system, whether it's schooling, college, or MBA, will not prepare us for. You will learn the hard way, and which is also the right way to learn to a large extent. But if we can reduce those pain points before you hit the market, which means that the industry is also involved very closely, with what you guys are doing at Zell, getting industry practitioners to come and share knowledge and teach a lot of on ground reality. I think that will make a world of a difference. So I think we are making that transition gradually, and it is also happening at a very nascent young age also. So for instance, I was talking to someone from this company called Square Panda. Square Panda actually creates AI-led personalized content for early learners. Like they are actually creating content at that age for kindergartners and on so on and so forth. But it's a pipe dream. To get that to happen as a mass movement is going to take a really long time. But I feel green shoots are coming into play. It is happening gradually. And as I said, the industry, the market, the corporate world needs to play a more active role in bridging that gap.
Okay, so uh, I think this was really, really helpful. Thank you so much for today. Uh,
Pleasure, yeah, pleasure.
I have couple of major questions, but I think we're really out of time. So I think
Sure,
maybe we can do this again, or maybe I'll ask this to Tisha if I ever get a chance to do this with her.
of
Uh,
course.
so, guys, I would suggest please follow Pradyut on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on
LinkedIn and
Twitter,
in
on Insta.
on Insta, yeah.
Oh my god! And I think the same applies for Tisha because all both are a power pack couple. So I think it,
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting partnership also to think about it. Like you sit here and one B2B marketer, one B2C marketer bounce ideas off each other, and then
yeah, and both I think are
yeah,
doing really well for your age, for where you all are compared to peers. Both are leading important functions in massive companies. So I can just imagine how. In fact, maybe we can do a joint thing later where
Sure.
instead of the audience, I'm also sort of just imbibing from the two of you all.
Yeah, we can definitely plan something along those lines.
And you also have a podcast.
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the podcast because I didn't want to give too much information on one episode alone.
I
So
know this is more of a shout out so that if anybody is going to be, in fact, we'll put all these links.
yes, yes,
Hopefully,
that would be awesome.
yeah, there'll be some people who now want to follow you after this. So, if anybody wants to ask anything to you specifically, which is the best place to reach you?
LinkedIn would be the best place to reach me.
Okay, great. So, guys, please message him for whether it's your internship questions, it's a marketing question, it's life career questions. I think,
Any sort of questions, yeah, honestly speaking, because I don't like to think of myself as just a marketer. So if I can, as I said at the beginning of this episode, if I can add that 1% and help you out in any way, I'd be more than happy to.
Great, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hey, pleasure, yeah, Pratham. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. See you.
All right.